From the ruins of Colonel Kurtz's compound, it's the IGN Digigods. Please welcome two errand boys sent by grocery store clerks to collect a bill, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
Oh, what a refreshing new year it is. Who sent that in, Corey?
I love the smell of Alexander Berlika in the morning.
Yes, thank you, Alexander. Shout out to Belarus. Hope it's not too cold over there.
Hello, Wade.
Hi, Mark.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. How did you spend the last 2 weeks? Surfing, snowboarding, skydiving? What'd you do?
Eating.
Thank you.
What else do I do? I eat.
And you have given me a New Year's cookie. Is that what I'm supposed to eat here?
Yes, real quickly, I'm going to make you eat a New Year's cookie that I made from the Bouchon cookbook.
Oh, really? From the Bouchon cookbook? Oh,
you don't know what that is, do you?
I do.
No, you don't. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Well, you're being smart.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so here's the thing, folks. You know, it's January, February, which means that...
Very nice. Thank you for the calories.
I know. January, February means you should be watching more DVDs because the movies stink until around, I don't know...
April these days. Mm-hmm.
So, really, we are providing a service, a valuable service, an important service, that we need to help you kill time until the April Memorial Day films come out. Mm-hmm. That is why we are here.
And we will supplement that service with window cleaning.
You will supplement that service with window cleaning. I will not.
Very good.
But, yeah, so listen, it's the first of the year, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year to everybody. Oh, and please, it's that time again. We are soliciting new intros.
What?
Yes. So, you know the drill. Everybody should know by now the format for the intros. So go ahead and just submit your cool new show intros to us. We're going to be recording those in about 2 months' time.
2 months seems like a long time, but I know it's like
goes by quickly.
It's hurting cats.
Goes by
getting
quickly.
all these intros.
So, you know, we're going to give you 2 months to be creative. You don't have to start getting them in immediately. But go ahead, send them to us. And, you know, send them to us as you come up with them.
At gods@digigods.com.
Gods@digigods.com. Email them to us at gods@digigods.com. And please include your name as you want it to be announced as the author of the intro. And also, if you've got anything to plug, seriously, we have no shame. We really don't. If you have a website to plug, if you've got a book to plug, if you've got a blog to plug, anything of the sort, by all means, go ahead and send that in, and we'll feature it. We'll feature it. That's what
and don't forget, you know, the format is now you can figure the format out simply by listening to the show, but because sometimes we get people who like have listened to like 500 of these and then send something in that is not the format of the open.
Yes.
So it's basically from the blankety-blank location, it's the IGN Digigods. Now, please welcome insulting comment about Wade or Mark or movie reference, Wade and Mark.
Yes.
That is it.
Yes, that's
From
it.
the blankety-blank, it's the Digigods. Now, please welcome, joke, Mark and Wade.
You know,
make
Mark,
sure it's Mark and Wade. You're not going to start the New Year's.
You could,
oh, you actually, okay, I can make a
you just made me eat a cookie. You made me eat a cookie.
Now, here's the thing. Now, my New Year's resolution, as usual, is my New Year's resolution, as usual, is to lose what I call the Christmas 5.
Yes.
Now, the Christmas 5 is the 5 pounds that you gain during Christmas time. So I'm now trying to lose the Christmas 5.
Good. So that's
in the
why,
spirit of that.
In the spirit of that, I'm going to give you Brooke Burke Body Sexy Abs and Brooke Burke Body 30-Day Slim Down so that you can get those awesome abs and your cardio burn, tone, and sculpt and rock it out. The one has 3 20-minute ab workouts. And the other one has 2 fat-burning 30-minute workouts
oh my
for
God,
cardio.
Wade, that's incredible.
Isn't that great? And I just know that that's the kind of body you want to have, isn't it?
I want to have it, but not in the way on the way you're saying.
Now, I always get Brooke Burke confused with the one that you worked with.
Brooke Burns.
That's right.
Now, Brooke Burns has kind of disappeared. I don't know what happened to her.
Yeah, well, it's because she doesn't make workout videos.
She doesn't, although she should. Well, she was on the show, and then she dated Bruce Willis for a while.
Oh, did she really?
Oh, yeah.
Who did Brooke Burke date?
Brooke is married to somebody famous. By the way, Brooke Burke has or had thyroid cancer.
Did she really?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. And, in fact, it was kind of a big deal a couple weeks ago or whatever when she kind of like walks around without covering her thyroid cancer surgery scar. You can't see it on the box of the DVD, Wade.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at her navel on the DVD, and I'm just remembering how they went to such great lengths to cover up Barbara Eden's navel on I Dream of Jeannie every week.
That is bizarre.
And, those of us who were, 6, 7 years old at the time, we just found that to be a real tease. And now we just.
You found her sexy, Barbara Eden? And
oh my gosh! Are you kidding me?
I did not at all.
Are you serious?
Not in the least. I watched that show like, oh, it's a genie.
You didn't think I wish I had a genie like that?
Well, not for prurient reasons, no. But I mean, but in terms of like, that's a sexy woman, not in a million years. I would tell you, I don't care.
Wow.
Not in a million years.
Okay.
She was like, oh, it's a genie.
We are totally different. I don't even know why I'm doing this show with you.
You seriously thought she was like sexy?
Oh my gosh!
I mean, I'm not saying she wasn't a pretty woman, but I did not look at her as a sex object. I looked at her like a genie.
My heterosexuality runneth over. Are you kidding me?
Interesting.
I was like prepubescent at the time, and I knew.
I couldn't care less.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Anyway, we'll go out and get yourself some Burke to slim down after all that New Year's and holiday eating. They actually are really good. The workouts are very good. Especially the cardio one, but it's 30 minutes of brutality. It's not as fun as it looks like. Whee! Put on your yoga pants and come and do this. What's the yoga pants company?
Wait, shut up.
Okay. All right. You know what, Mark?
Yes.
Let's jump right into the movie scene.
Oh no, I think we should talk about more workout videos that no one will ever buy or rent. Let's do that, Wade. Good call. I'm the TV producer, Wade. I'm telling you.
Let's talk about Arthur Christmas in 3D. Oh crap! Christmas is over.
Are you really about to talk about that?
I was going to. Well, it came late, and you know what? I mean, I didn't want to make mention of it. Go ahead and pick it up. I guess cheap on a Best Buy fire sale or something. Because it's what are you eating?
This is yogurt.
What kind? Oh, it's that sheep milk yogurt from Whole Foods.
Okay.
Aren't you LA?
Okay, no. Here's the thing. So I go to Whole Foods, and I want to buy yogurt because I don't.
I can't believe I even know that.
I eat.
You realize there's nowhere else you can get that.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's Whole Foods exclusive.
So I go to Whole Foods and I want to get some yogurt. I'm eating so poorly at home because I just bake and that's all I ever do, and then I just eat what I bake and I get fat. And so I decided to buy yogurt, which I like. I like yogurt, and so. I get this sheep's milk yogurt. Now, I have no idea. Sheep's milk, for all I know, is going to wind up causing cancer, and then that'll be it. But for now, it tastes good. But I don't really look at what things cost at the supermarket when I buy them. I just buy them. And so yesterday, I go to Whole Foods. I buy some of this sheep's milk stuff. And this little thing, which is like 6 ounces, it's $2.49.
Uh-huh.
It's $2.49 for like you can go to the supermarket and get Yoplait for 99 cents.
Yes.
This is $2.49 for sheep's milk. I
get Yoplait for 50 cents. I wait for the coupon.
Well, that's because you're
seriously just because it offends me to spend more than that for one of those little yogurts.
This thing is $2.50. Mm-hmm. Now it tastes good. I like it, and I kind of don't. Hey, here's the thing. It's net. It's like it's not that I don't have $2.50.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I do. It's like perceived value. It's like, is this worth? Like I have $50. I wouldn't buy a Snickers for $50.
I come from an era when I lived in France, and you could go to, or even Switzerland, you could go to the market and you could pick up essentially a giant vat, like a 16 or 32 ounce. I forget. I don't even know the difference. Whatever the big jug is, the big jug size, you could get that for approximately $1. So I'm just grossly offended at overpriced yogurt.
I didn't know. I had no idea.
Yeah. Anyway, Bellwether Farms, it's good stuff. I'll tell you that.
It is?
It is good, yeah.
All right.
So go ahead, slurp it up. No, but we missed this Christmas time. It didn't come in time. But they get the new Blu-ray 3D, Blu-ray DVD combo of Arthur Christmas. I can't endorse the 3D, obviously, but this is, if you don't have this, it is a fun film to have around at Christmas time. I really think it's one of the few animated Christmas movies. Boy, that Legend of the Guardians really stank it up, didn't it?
Which one?
Legend of the Guardians?
Rise of the Guardians? No,
Rise of the Guardians, whatever it was. Nobody went to see that.
Who cares?
Wow. Well, it's a Christmas-themed thing, you know?
Well, but no, it's like it's Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and all of them.
Yeah, it's like the Justice League of holiday fairies.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's Arthur Christmas in 3D out there if you want that. And a couple of others here that are from Milestone that I should give a mention to. Milestone just gave us this gigantic gift. And if you're an old movie fan, if you're a silent movie fan, you're just going to flip out at this. The first one, which I will lead in with, is Cut to the Chase, the Charley Chase collection. And, you know, if you're not familiar with Charley Chase, you should be, because everybody always focuses on Charles Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and on a slight Harold Lloyd and a slightly lower tier. And then there's all these other guys who were amazing silent comics, but they're so overshadowed by the giants that nobody ever pays attention to them. And one of them is Charley Chase, who is genuinely incredibly funny. And this is 2 discs. Some amazing shorts here, and all beautifully put together by Milestone and distributed by Oscilloscope. Milestone, they're such good people. They do such good work, and it's all a labor of love for them. It really is. These all come from the Harold Castleton Library of Congress and Museum of Modern Art collections. Also the Stanford Theater Foundation. And this was all stuff that was made in the early 20s, about 1924 to 1926. You get April Fool, The Fraidy Cat, Isn't Life Terrible, What Price Goofy, Be Your Age, a whole bunch of just great shorts. And this was all done for Hal Roach at the time, and some of these were directed by Leo McCarey, believe it or not. So you really get a big, wonderful slice of film history here. And Charley Chase, just a completely different kind of silent comedy, but just as timeless in many respects, and really definitely worth checking out. And then here's the real gem from from Milestone. This is on Blu-ray. Rags and Riches, the Mary Pickford Collection. This is a Blu-ray collection that includes Poor Little Rich Girl, The Hoodlum, Sparrows, and Ramona. Mary Pickford, you should know as well, because Mary Pickford changed the movie business, not just for women, but in general. She created an entire type of film, sort of the Depression era and pre-Depression era little urchin, right, who we empathize with her. She's poor. She's from these lowly backgrounds, and she somehow just made the movies reach down to the common person who was paying, a few cents to go and see the flickers on a Friday and a Saturday night. And
she co-started Universal United Artists.
Co-founder of United Artists. And really, people forget how prominent women were in the silent era. I mean, there were women directing movies and writing them and producing them, almost more so than now, really. We've taken a step backwards. And these are just amazing films. 1917, 1919, 1926, all really, really good stuff. 1910 for Ramona. You gotta get this. You just have to have this. This is film history, and the transfers are just gorgeous. Mary Pickford and Blu-ray. It looks like film. It looks how it was meant to be seen. So a lot of great bonus features here as well. Really just wonderful for the whole family. Introduce your kids to the glories of Mary Pickford and teach them what movies used to be and what they hopefully can be again.
Oh, yeah. Wade. Never happened.
Yeah, maybe.
Sorry, Wade. Wade, it's a bad time to come out with A League of Their Own on Blu-ray because it's not baseball season.
I know.
Isn't that just bizarre?
Yeah.
But this is a terrific film, and one that co-stars Madonna.
I love this movie. I think this is. I don't know why Penny Marshall can't get her directing career set up again, because this is really a wonderful movie. Tom Hanks is great, and Penny Marshall just nails the direction, the way the games are put together, and the music, and the montages, and the period recreation. It's wonderful.
Well,
it's a wonderful movie.
Well, the reason it's coming out now is because it's the 20th anniversary. Now it stars Tom Hanks as a women's baseball. I mean, what was it called? It was called the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was a real league. I mean, it was a real thing. There really was a women's league started by, it started by Philip Wrigley, the chewing gum guy. Wrigley Field guy.
That's right.
That's right.
Oh,
Philip
wow.
K. Wrigley was the one who did it, started it up. And, so it's good. And as you know, there's no crying in baseball. But you know what? It's very energetic. It's a lot of fun. It was written by Lowell Gans and Babalu Mandel, and they were one of the go-to writers of comedies in the 80s and early 90s. So it's definitely got a really fun, fresh approach. And Penny Marshall nails it, kind of like she nailed it a lot of times during that era, and then, as Wade says, sort of fell off the earth. But it's entertaining, it's sweet, it's fun stuff. There's a lot of special features, commentary, and a cast commentary, including Penny Marshall, Lori Petty, and Tracy Reiner, deleted scenes, and documentary, and, even a Madonna music video from back in the day. A League of Their Own. If you love baseball, it's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, I got a bone to pick here. Dredd. I don't know why this movie was made. I don't. Okay, for starters, here's the thing. Did Judge Dredd really need to be remade? I mean, was the comic book really so poorly served by the Stallone film that we needed to revisit this and ramp this thing up? Into this?
Yes.
Why?
You know why?
Why?
Because it's a graphic novel. Somewhere down the line, it was a graphic novel, and now by law, if you're a graphic novel, you have to be made into a film. There really is. There's no choice.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. Here's the problem. You remember The Raid, that Indonesian movie where they lay siege to a building and there's a drug dealer inside and the whole thing? That's what this is. It's just a blatant ripoff of the Indonesian movie The Raid, and it's not done as well. I know Alex Garland wrote it, and we love.
I had very high hopes for it. I had high hopes for it. Alex Garland, talented guy, writes for Danny Boyle.
Yeah. Well,
the guy who shot Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah, this thing was. I just don't think it's a good movie in any way whatsoever. It. New guy playing Judge Dredd. He talks, does the usual thing, and I'm tough, and you never see my eyes because I got this helmet on. And whatever.
You know what? I have to say, Carl Urban. He's. I don't get it. He's very effective to me. He's. I see him acting.
What else has he done?
Well, he plays Bones in the Star Trek movie. And,
that's right.
I just feel like I always feel that guy's trying.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel like an effortless actor to me.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
And here he's got the full scowl.
Yeah.
I'm Judge Dredd.
I can't get with it. And Olivia Thirlby as his partner. We always have to have the woman, right? The woman partner now. Ever since RoboCop, right?
Right.
That's the thing
Allen.
now. Ever since Nancy Allen and RoboCop, that's the thing. We always got to have the really big tough guy. He's got to have like the woman who wants to be tough, and you're not tough enough.
Well, because there is no way there's no way that any girl below the age of 97 will ever see this movie.
No.
So if they put in Olivia Thirlby, who's as close as they can get to a young it girl.
Yeah, the only thing I kind of like about this is Lena Headey, because she plays Mama, right? The prostitute with the scarred face turned horrible drug dealer. She's the villain in this thing, tattooed and just ruthless and all that. Yeah, she's kind of been on a downhill slide ever since 300 when she played Zeus's wife or whatever it was she did in that. But it's, you got a bunch of extras here. It's all just oriented toward behind-the-scenes stuff and the special effects, and there's even a thing on 3D, even on the one that's not 3D, which is what we have here, the Blu-ray digital copy ultraviolet combo. And then you got there's also the 3D version of it. Not great 3D, I gotta say. There's a couple of moments where the whole drug thing is well exploited for 3D, like really gives you dimensionality, like blow smoke right into the camera. It's old school horror film 3D effect, but very few and far between moments like that. Anyway, I just can't get with this movie. It's Judge Dredd is supposed to be a bigger story. It's supposed to be more than just yet another high-powered, high special effects remake of, one of these tower siege movies, which have been going on ever since Game of Death with Bruce Lee.
Just watch. Wait another 25 years, there'll be another one.
Yeah, I guess.
Exactly. We have two movies, two Blu-rays starring It Boys. There's It Girls. Wait, are there It Boys? There really are not.
Yeah.
This is called The Words. And The Words was supposedly going to be Bradley Cooper's big foray into dramatic acting.
Yeah,
well, of course, it's blurbed on the cover by none other than Pete Hammond from Box Office Magazine.
Oh my gosh!
Anyway, in the words of our good friend Ray Green, who is such a great writer, and his quote about it was something
Ray hated this.
His quote about it was something like, "It's a movie for people who buy their novels at Starbucks."
Yeah, and Ray, by the way, excuse me, Ray, by the way, wrote the box office review.
Yes,
not Pete.
Yet
Pete is blurbed.
How does that happen?
Well, somebody should investigate.
They should have blurbed Ray. This is a movie about people who buy their books at Starbucks.
I mean, the way it probably happened was they probably called Pete up and asked him for a quote and an attribution.
And
that's the way it happened.
And Pete said, "I can't do that. That's against my morals and scruples. Box office has already reviewed this. There's nothing I can do."
Yeah.
Or instead, he said, "Don't miss it." He said that instead.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this movie is sort of too complicated and by half. The thing is that Dennis Quaid plays this famous author who's reading from his new book. And the book is a story about an author who finds an unpublished manuscript, right, while he's on his honeymoon in Europe. And then he pretends like the manuscript is his. which, by the way, was done much better in Bobcat Goldthwait's World's Greatest Dad. Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
That was awesome. And, I just think this thing is just, it's kind of like just really pedestrian that thinks it's being insightful. And I just think this movie was a total, complete washout.
I have to say, I think that I respect the fact that the guys who wrote Tron Legacy were trying to do something more artistic. I respect that they're going in a different direction. I respect what they tried to do. I just don't think they pulled it off. I think it in many respects. I know this movie was re-edited. I know that there were distributor ordered changes and so forth, and all of that in mind, it feels like they're handling it a little too preciously. If you're going to go walk the tightrope, you got to run across that thing. You got to just really, really throw caution to the wind. If you're just going to go for it, go for it. But you almost feel like they're torn between their safe commercial sensibilities and their desire to be artistic, and it results in a kind of compromised film. But that's it. By the way, they just broke up.
I heard about it. I work at E! Entertainment Television.
That's
Believe
right.
me, I heard about that. Although I do the best I can to ignore all such emails.
Yeah,
Anyway, we have one more. The other It movie, the It Boy movie, is Cosmopolis.
Boy, this just nothing happened to this award season.
Huh?
A Cronenberg film, you would expect, oh my gosh, yeah, Cronenberg, it'll be like in the mix.
Well,
it just went nowhere.
Well, because nobody could wrap their head around this. This thing, here's the thing. What's his name? Robert Pattinson was coming out with Twilight 7, whatever it was, the last one, the second to last one, who the hell knows anymore. And at the same time, they brought out Cosmopolis, figuring that, hey, if they can get a sliver, 0.0001% of Twilight fans to go see a Rob Pattinson anything, they'll have a hit. And I am telling you, any young girls, figure that they'll see their dreamboat Rob Pattinson. Any young girls who walked into this film, when they walked out, their hair was probably frizzed out, their eyes were bleeding. They had no idea what they just saw. No idea, because this is like a David Cronenberg film. It's sort of like what we were saying before the show. Remember. Before the show started, remember I was talking about how when you're young, you laugh.
It's too true, yeah.
When you're young and you want to see a movie, you look to see who it stars.
Yes.
We were just saying this like 10 minutes ago about something else.
Before the show, yeah.
But when you get older, you realize that the true vision behind the movie is always the director.
Yes.
So if you went into this thinking, oh, let's see a Rob Pattinson film. No. What you're really seeing is a David Cronenberg film, and that's a whole other thing.
That's true.
And so, and you know what? This movie, it is very typically, it is super Cronenberg. It is just precision tooled for complete confusion, and yet somehow you know that Cronenberg knows exactly what's going on, even if you don't. And the movie takes place in some sort of like not too distant future. And Pattinson, who as a very cold actor, I find is actually kind of perfect for this role. He plays this incredible Wizard of Wall Street who's like a quadrillionaire, and he sits in his plush limousine all day and night and just tools around the city. And gets in all sorts of trouble. That's all I'll say, because it's a Cronenberg film, and it's just wild. And obviously it's a very claustrophobic story. It's a very slow-moving story. As he sinks deeper and deeper, and you start to wonder whether he's going to survive to see the end of the movie. It's sort of like, it goes back and forth between like very profound and yet just very tiresome and almost absurd. But that's sort of the tightrope that Cronenberg always walks on. And there's some great supporting roles in this. And, it's definitely worth a shot if you like Cronenberg and you want to see something totally different and almost indecipherable. It's Cosmopolis. Now, it's the DVD contains a commentary with Cronenberg where he does shed some light as to what he was thinking in making this film. And there's interviews with the cast and crew. And Julia Binoche's in it. And Jay Baruchel, the kid who did the voice for How to Train Your Dragon, he's in it. Samantha Morton's very good in it. Paul Giamatti shows up at the end. He's great. And, there you go, Cosmopolis. If you love Rob Pattinson because you think he's dreamy and handsome, go ahead and rent it. But you know what?
You've been warned.
It'll consider it your very first drug trip.
It's awesome. All right, and we've got some Severin titles here. Severin, of course, releases primarily cult films, exploitation films, anything that has a real following and a history and notoriety, sometimes scandal behind it. And we got a couple of really, really good ones from Severin here. The first one is The Wild Geese from 1978. And the one thing that you see in both of these films is that there's a certain level of film, a certain kind of film that aging stars will flock to when they're no longer major draws, when they're not getting the offers from the studios anymore, when the big projects aren't coming their way, when the big offers aren't flowing. They knock it down a level, and they'll slum it. They'll do something that's cheesy and exploitative and a little bit that lacks a certain credibility, lacks a certain dignity. They'll throw their fame to the wind. But only so much. It's still got to be a little bit high profile, a little bit high concept. The Wild Geese stars Richard Burton, Roger Moore, Richard Harris, and Hardy Kruger, made in 1978. And you think that, well, wow, Richard Burton, Roger Moore, Richard Harris, Hardy Kruger, a movie called The Wild Geese? That sounds like a war movie. Yeah, it kind of is. They're basically mercenaries. They're basically the Dirty Dozen, and they've got to drop into this African banana republic and take the former president out of the stockade where he's being held. It's a rescue movie. It's basically the friggin' Chuck Norris thing.
Star Wars?
The Canon films. What were those names?
Oh,
like Omega Force.
Yeah, the Omega Force.
Yeah, it was one of those. That's basically what this is. It's an Omega Force movie. Anyway, it's directed by Andrew V. McLaughlin, who was kind of a really good studio workman-like guy back in the '60s, and by the '70s, he's just looking for anything where he can show that he can still direct something that sort of vaguely resembles a western. But you know what? It's for an exploitation film of the '70s. It's decent action, and it's always fun to watch those actors, even if Roger Moore can't act his way out of a paper bag in anything that he does. The other film, this is great. These are both Blu-ray DVD combos, by the way. So if you want to, that way you get to watch them on the Blu-ray player, and then you get to play them for your kids in the car. And the DVD is especially good to play for the kids in the car with Ashanti, because this is all about white slave trading, and black slave trading, and brown slave trading, and pretty much any slave trading that Peter Ustinov wants to engage in.
Now, do they rush this out on the heels of Django?
Well, there you go. You just beat me to the punch. Yeah, Richard Fleischer directed this in 1979. And that was a time when Richard Fleischer was like, I'll direct anything. I'll direct an infomercial if you send it my way. I'll direct a public service announcement. He just didn't have much of a directing career by the late 70s. And so Richard Fleischer jumped right on top of this and, of course, got himself a cast of Michael Caine, Peter Ustinov, Beverly Johnson, Omar Sharif, William Holden, and Rex Harrison.
Rex Harrison.
Ridiculous. Now, keep in mind, there are 4 Academy Award winners in this movie. Michael Caine, Peter Ustinov, Rex Harrison, and William Holden. The latter 2 won Best Actor. The other 2 won Best Supporting Actor. I mean, that's, wow. 1979, is everybody having that hard of a time? Basically, the idea here is that Michael Caine is part of a UN team. He and his wife, Beverly Johnson, are trying to cure disease in Africa. It's another one of these African things. And Peter Ustinov is just, he's this crazy slave trader, and he kidnaps Beverly Johnson. And next thing you know, Michael Caine's got to join up with everybody else, including William Holden and Rex Harrison and Omar Sharif, and they got to go fetch his wife. Omar Sharif is really not that prominent in the movie, to be honest. It's really more about Rex Harrison and William Holden and Michael Caine doing this little squibbly-squabbly thing. Which one of those do you think's the really tough guy?
Squibbly?
Who just says kill them all, burn it, blow it all up?
Who am I choosing between?
Michael Caine, Rex Harrison, and William Holden.
Oh, Rex Harrison all the way. My Fair Lady. And My Fair Lady's a badass. All right, please stop talking about this movie.
Yeah, sure. It's William Holden basically doing his shtick from Bridge on the River Kwai.
All right, wait. Let's move this along.
You know what? Yeah, no. Seriously, there's featurettes here. Beverly Johnson, by the way, I should say, is interviewed about this film. Ashanti had a really, really troubled history. And it's a big deal. So Ashanti is worth checking out, especially for exploitation film fans. And that is on a Blu-ray DVD combo from Severin, as is The Wild Geese.
Wade, back in the 21st century, Wade, we have Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn. Now, here's the thing: is that there's never been a live-action Halo film. They've been trying to make a live-action Halo film, and the closest we have is this web series that was done earlier this year. It might have been last year, but this is sort of a stitching together of those episodes plus a whole new episode, so you're getting definitely some more value here. Halo Forward Unto Dawn is any good? Obviously, it because nowadays you can kind of you can rent a Red camera for $50 a year. So it looks good, and it's well shot, and there's all sorts of crazy effects and slow mo, and it's shot mostly in super close up to hide the fact that probably reusing the same sets over and over again. But is the story any good? Whatever. I love the Halo video games. The original Halo was like the only video game I've ever played from beginning to end. Otherwise, I'm not that much into video games. I mean, I love them, but I don't play them from beginning to end, except for Halo. So, look, if you're dreaming of that, like Guillermo del Toro or Michael Bay Halo film, this will have to suffice. Forward Unto Dawn. So, frankly, you should be just as happy watching it on the internet.
Totally.
The extra episode you're getting is not worth the price of a Blu-ray.
Beautiful. Mark, one of the worst remakes of Psycho I have ever seen in my life was House at the End of the Street. This is the unrated version on Blu-ray and DVD and digital copy combo. Includes two versions of this rip-off worthless movie, unrated and theatrical, so you get to watch it just get worse and worse and worse. Honestly, you don't realize quite immediately that it's a total Psycho rip-off, but then you go, oh, it's a Psycho rip-off, and you immediately know where this movie's going. Basically, Elizabeth Shue is this mom who's with she's got a single daughter, and Jennifer Lawrence, who's probably regretting she ever made this movie, plays the daughter. And honestly, by the time the Oscars are over, it may very well be that this movie has two Best Actress winners in it. Do you realize that?
The funny thing is that they put her face front and center on the box, figuring that
and you can't even tell who it is.
You can't even tell who it is.
I know. It's Jennifer Lawrence on the cover. So never mind that. But anyway, it's so Elizabeth Shue, and they made this like a year and a half ago or something like that, I think. So anyway, they move into this town. They're trying to restart their lives, and there's a creepy house at the end of the street where some little girl like murdered her family or her parents earlier, and now the son, who was away at the time, he's still living in the house. He came back, and of course, as the movie goes on, you're supposed to believe that he's keeping his, of course, the girl, really, she got away, right? So she roams the woods, and everyone's afraid that, the legend of the murderous girl, she's still living in the woods like some kind of feral cat or something. And turns out, the brother presumably keeps her locked up in the basement, and she occasionally gets out every once in a while, yada, 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 whatever. Okay, very quickly, you start seeing certain scenes, and you realize there's certain hallmarks, and you do the math, and it's a friggin' Psycho remake. And there's even a point where, believe it or not, the sheriff takes a tumble down some stairs, and I just thought, are you kidding me? You had to. I mean, that's not even an homage. That's just being bad. So anyway, it's I can't recommend this movie on any level whatsoever. It's from 20th Century Fox, who really needs to do a much better job of picking their movies.
Well, you gave me this for a reason, didn't you?
Sure did.
Because you know that suddenly, starring Frank Sinatra,
yes,
as a man who's going to assassinate the president,
Dead.
You know that this movie, as many of our listeners know, was directed by my step-grandfather.
Yes, it was.
This is my stepmother's stepfather.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. You know what? Actually, Lewis Allen, my step-grandfather, who died in 2000, who was a great guy, an incredible storyteller. He worked with everybody, tells great stories about like lending Sean Connery $50 to buy his suit for his very first audition, and giving Steven Spielberg his very first job in TV as like a gopher for something or something like that. And this is suddenly where Frank Sinatra plays a guy who's going to assassinate the president. It's good stuff. Sterling Hayden's in it. Sinatra's in it, obviously, and James Gleason's in it, and it's good stuff. Now, Lewis Allen, if you want to check out some more stuff he's done, I'm telling you, man, The Uninvited is considered one of the best horror films of the 40s. It was actually remade a couple years ago, which is kind of cool. A Bullet for Joey, he did that. Gotta love that. And he also has a lot of TV credits, good TV credits. The Rifleman, Perry Mason, Bonanza, Little House on the Prairie, Mission Impossible, The Fugitive. So he was Lewis Allen, my step-grandfather. was he had a great career. And was a great storyteller. It was totally cool. So there you go. Suddenly, looks good. They actually wound up. Image did a good job with this film. They actually wound up scaring up a new audio commentary by Frank Sinatra Jr., which I'd be curious to. I don't know, man. I think it's cool. Frank Sinatra Jr. is cool. A new audio commentary by a professor, this guy Drew Casper at the USC School of Cinematic Arts, and that's cool.
Yep.
So suddenly, totally worth it.
I agree.
Because it might give my stepmother a couple bucks. Because I have to figure that with every sale, she'll probably get something.
You don't get anything out of that, though.
I get zero.
Yeah. I'm going to blow through some catalog titles here, and then we're going to riff off a few more new titles, and then we're going to hit up listener mail, a new year of Voxbox. We got a Voxbox. We've gotten a few over the holidays, too. No, not yet.
Okay.
Anyway, so some old culty classic-y titles here. A lot of these have been coming out lately. Blu-ray DVD combo pack of The Island. Come on, Mark. You remember The Island?
The Island of Dr. Moreau?
This is another Michael Caine spectacular. We've got a lot of these cheesy kind of mid-stage Michael Caine movies. Isn't it funny how how his career went?
I know.
He was Mr. Legit, and then he started to get older and couldn't get any good roles, and he just did crap. It's like that whole Jaws 3D period in there.
That's right.
When it's like, again, going back to Ashanti and stuff like The Island, just like junk. And then all of a sudden, like around the Dirty Rotten Scoundrels period, bam, he's the man again.
And now he's got like emeritus status.
It's incredible.
He's the best.
It tells you how life goes. It's just like that. Anyway, this is The Island is one of those movies that came out kind of. It made in 1980, but it's still in the wake of Jaws. And it's funny because here they on the box they cite as Michael Caine, The Dark Knight trilogy. Like, really, you're piggybacking on The Dark Knight? It's like people are going to go, oh my gosh, really? The guy from The Dark Knight? He made a movie called The Island? I'll see that. Anyway, no, this is all kind of still in the wake of Jaws, and at a time when everybody was focusing on the Bermuda Triangle a little bit too much. And this is kind of like a modern day piratey thing. And it takes place in the Caribbean, and look, it's not a very good movie, but it was written by Peter Benchley, and that somehow, because it was an adventure at sea, and it had a little bit of action, and had Peter Benchley, of course, well in the wake of Jaws. We got to do this. We got to make it. Michael Caine, he used to be somebody, so let's do it. And of course, produced by Richard Zanuck and David Brown, who did Jaws. So it did perform like Jaws? Not even remotely. Ennio Morricone does a very lovely score. David Warner shows up and plays the bad guy that he did in almost every movie in the 1980s, from Tron to Time Bandits. But remember when David Warner was like...
He was cool.
He was cool.
He was in The Omen. He got his head sliced off in The Omen. And he did a lot of Star Trek work, too.
I know he did. Like honestly, today, if you were to do the David Warner story, who would you cast in it?
The David Warner story? Yeah. Probably David Warner. He's around.
He's still around, yeah. Well, I don't know. Okay. Like, who's the David Warner of today?
The David Warner of today. Oh, my God. The David Warner of today. There's going to be a whole lot of silence in like the next 20 seconds.
I just thought. Well, I thought you might come up with like.
I'm trying to think of like a tall, thin, supporting actor.
Isn't Alan Rickman like our David Warner? Or was he the David Warner of the 90s?
He was the David Warner of the 90s.
Okay, so we don't have one today. Okay. Never mind. Anyway, moving on quickly. Got a couple from Olive here. A couple of old westerns. One with Joel McRae and Veronica Lake. Ramrod by Andre de Toth, who wore an eye patch. And, honestly, there's just no reason to think this is anything spectacular. It's a pretty straight up one of those kind of ranch cattleman out on the range, we got a dispute, and, rustler movies. It's just, it hits all of those beats. It's exactly what you think it is. Very nicely shot in black and white from 1947, kind of a classic Andre de Toth odor. And then Norman Panama did The Trap, with Richard Widmark, Lee J. Cobb, Earl Holliman, and Tina Louise in 1959. A Tina Louise who eventually would take Gilligan's Island against her better judgment, and never made another movie after that.
Yeah, well, you know what? Alec Guinness took Obi-Wan Kenobi against his better judgment, too. Look at him. Made him rich and famous.
Tina Louise really, she was on a Star Trek, and I think she resents ever walking away from from this. Anyway, this is, you know what? This is perfectly fine. 1959. It's not brilliant. Norman Panama is a very serviceable director. The cast is good. And it's, you know, let's put it this way. It's structured like a Western, not really a Western. It's sort of, it's kind of, it's a bit of a strange combination of, you know, Western elements and crime film elements. But, you know, honestly, great supporting cast, and I kind of enjoyed it on a certain kind of weird quasi-noirish fusion level. Then we also have Death Valley, really quickly, from 1982. This has a... the only reason that this is really worth recommending is that it has Peter Billingsley in it, who at the time had not yet made A Christmas Story, and Peter Billingsley now is partners with Vince Vaughn, and they just signed some deal with Glenn Beck's company to make some kind of a movie or something.
Yes, because Vince Vaughn is a well-known Hollywood conservative, and he teamed up with Beck. I think Vince Vaughn's hilarious.
I do too.
I think everything is.
I think he's very smart too. And then also Sometimes a Great Nation. This is from Shout as well, starring Paul Newman, Henry Fonda, and Lee Remick. I love all these old actors. This reminds me of how bad today's actors are by comparison. I mean, come on, Paul Newman, Henry Fonda, Lee Remick. Give it up. That rocks, right?
Yeah.
This is the first film that Paul Newman ever directed, actually. And is it great? No, not at all. It's written by the same novelist who did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Ken Kesey. How do you pronounce that?
Star Wars.
Yeah, whatever. Well, anyway, it's kind of a preachy movie. It's a little bit like, what's the new Matt Damon thing?
Oh, Promised Land.
Promised Land. It's a little bit like that. A little bit of a thing. Anyway, it's you know, there's a timber community, there's a strike going on, a little organized labor thing, a little bit of an environmental message, and all this kind of stuff, and which is kind of surprisingly very much on the crest of all of that stuff in 1971. That's when all these message movies were really kind of first manifesting themselves in the wake of the 60s. But you know what? It's I think it's a perfectly fine film. It's well acted, and it's got that nice movie star sheen to it from that very late studio period. I'm all about it.
All right, Wade, let's move this along because what are we talking? Are we talking about that pile or that pile?
You know what we got?
Because we should. We only have a few minutes left in the show. We got video. We got letters. We got Voxbox. We got to roll it along.
We got a lot.
Roll it along.
We're gonna finish off with a little bit of guns and car exploitation stuff. The first one, and I'll let Mark handle these last two, which are really kind of entertaining. Oh no, you got a couple others you got to nail there. Yeah, never mind. Okay,
yes, ma'am.
I'll let you blow through all of that when I'm done with this.
Yes, ma'am.
Monty Hellman's Two-Lane Blacktop is out in a Criterion Collection release, if you can believe it. Monty Hellman has never really gotten enough love from the mainstream film community. Monty Hellman, of course, is just revered by a certain cast of movie nerds, but you know, legit film people still don't really see him as somebody to be taken seriously, which is too bad. They almost give Roger Corman more respect than they give Monty Hellman. Anyway, Two-Lane Blacktop, come on. James Taylor acts in this movie. He acts in this movie, along with Warren Oates, who's just always terrific, and it's a drag racing movie, for crying out loud. And they're the driver and the mechanic for this thing, a 55 Chevy, but it's more than just a kind of more serious version of the Cannonball Run, which is how some people have described it. It really is. It's a movie that's all kind of captures the zeitgeist of a time and a place and a sensibility, and it's really terrific. This is also made in 1971, and I remember 1971, and this movie just is a snapshot of that time like nobody's business. Two commentaries on here, one with Monty Hellman and Allison Anders, who I just adore, not just because she's a UCLA grad, but you know, she's a great filmmaker. That's a wonderful, wonderful commentary. And then the other one is with screenwriter Rudy Wurlitzer and author David N. Meyer, which is a little bit less interesting. Bunch of interviews here, including with James Taylor and Chris Christopherson, who did the music. And it's just great. It's just really, really great. I think the world of this movie. I do. And I'm so glad. It's a really terrific Criterion Blu-ray transfer. You can also get it in DVD. It's restored just exactly the way that it needs to be. There was once a DVD special edition of this thing that came in a tin. It was an Anchor Bay release. They did a number of limited editions of it. I know a lot of people bought that at the time thinking this is going to be worth something. Get rid of it. It's not worth anything. You're limited, one of 20,000. It's going to be on. You might as well put that out for like a garage sale. It's not worth anything. Get rid of it. Pick up this Blu-ray. You'll be glad you did.
Two go-nowhere releases from Universal. One is a terrible film called Guns, Girls, and Gambling, which is what happens when you realize that your movie sucks, and if you can put as many like buzzword words into your title that maybe somebody will stop and rent it. Oh, it's got guns. I love guns. It's got girls. I love girls. It's got gambling. I love gambling. It's got all three. I'm going to rent Gun, Girls, and Gambling. Well, this is a total mishmash of Tarantino-style violence and double crosses, and it's just terrible. It's got a good cast though. It's got Christian Slater and Dane Cook and Gary Oldman dressed as Elvis, which is just ridiculous. Chris Kattan's also in this, so you know it's good because Chris Kattan's in it. By the way, Tony Cox is in this, who's the African-American short person. And I don't know what to call him. Who knows? Digigods.com, you can complain. And by the way...
African-American short person.
Exactly. So, by the way, Tony Cox's greatest performance, Bad Santa. I don't care if it's December or not, go rent Bad Santa. Anyway, Guns, Girls, and Gambling's terrible. I'm going to go ahead and recommend a film called Hit and Run, which went absolutely nowhere.
Seriously? This
yes,
is good?
Yes, it is cute. Yes, it is. It's got good stuff in it.
I had no idea.
Yes, it is co-directed by David Palmer and Dax Shepard, the actor. It stars Kristen Bell, Dax Shepard, Kristen Chenoweth, and Tom Arnold, who I always find entertaining.
I thought this was just like a Dax Shepard home movie.
Nope.
He and Kristen Bell are expecting a child.
They are?
Yeah.
You know what? There's something about Kristen Bell where, she's very beautiful, but she gives off no, heat. I don't want to...
She's not America's sweetheart.
She's not. She doesn't give up a lot of warmth. Anyway, I thought this film it's very hit and miss, but it's a road trip movie and it's got a lot of action-packed laughs in it, and I like it. Hit and Run is a cool little movie. Again, it's not Gone with the Wind, but it's got a certain amount of charm. It's got a certain amount of goofiness. It's almost like it's got a little Smokey and the Bandit in it. It's pretty entertaining. It's got some good cameos, and again, hit and miss, not the greatest thing ever, but for a movie that went nowhere, it deserved a little bit better. Hit and Run, Wade. Now, also, as we blow through this, because we have all sorts of other stuff to talk about in the few minutes we have left, we have Why Stop Now, an annoying comedy with Jesse Eisenberg, who I do always find annoying, except for Social Network, which I loved him in. It's one of those movies where it's based on a short film, and it has one of those high-concept premises that once you get past the high-concept premise, you realize that they're just tap dancing till the end. There's this young kid. He's a piano prodigy. He's in college. He hates his mother because his mother is a drug addict, and the drug addict made this kid take care of his little sister for his whole life.
Yes.
So the college kid wants to drop his mother off in a rehab facility to finally clean up her life.
Oh,
however, the rehab facility will not take her unless she tests positive for drugs. So they hit the road to go find her some drugs so she can then test positive and be admitted to a rehab facility. Craziness ensues. The only funny thing in this movie is the drug dealer is played by Tracy Morgan, who clearly doesn't care, but because he's Tracy Morgan, it's funny anyway. Moving along, we have, I'm going fast, folks. This is Heavyweights. The Heavyweights is from 95. By the way, it's funny because on the DVD box it says, it features a new digital restoration.
Uh-huh. That's great.
To me, digital restoration is that's why you buy Lawrence of Arabia.
Boy, that needed to be restored.
Anyway, the film is about, you know what, I have to say that I do find Ben Stiller funny in the right role. This is also an early Judd Apatow co-written script, and he was also an EP on it, so if you like the Apatow thing, you might get some laughs out of it. But this is not vintage Apatow. He wouldn't come into his own until obviously later. This is 1995. And basically it's a summer camp that is it's run by a fitness fanatic, and a bunch of fat kids have to get thin. Boy, did I make that fast.
Boy, you did.
Not funny, by the way. Not funny, not worth it. Plenty of other Ben Stiller stuff to rent, and plenty of other better Judd Apatow stuff to rent.
We're going to blow through some listener mail, then do a Vox Box, and then wrap the show up. Email from Chris. The research I've done, Paramount has no intentions of ever releasing the entire Friday the 13th movie series on Blu-ray. It's a guilty pleasure. I know it's cheesy, but due to poor sales apparently from the first three, now a couple of days ago I read that Warner has bought the series from Paramount. Is this true? Can we expect a box set or at least single releases? And I got to say, I have no idea. The history of this thing on rights is kind of weird. Warner Brothers eventually puts everything out on Blu-ray, so I would say now that Warner Brothers has it, because the New Line, I won't get into the rights history of this thing, but it's very, very crazy. It's New Line had the rights to some, and Paramount had the rights to the others. Anyway, so it's all under the Warner umbrella now, and I would say probably sometime this year we can expect it on Blu-ray. I would imagine tied in with something else. So, Warner Brothers has a history of doing that. And then Kyle Stevens writes us and says, the Starz original series Spartacus, best show on TV. Any show that can have that much violence, that much sex, that much foul language, and still take a back seat to plot and script is brilliant. I contest none of the vulgarity is gratuitous. Establishes setting and character. It's amazing. I'm not going to argue with Kyle. He's got taste. From Adam Ballard, greetings, Marks and Wade. Sure, this has been asked a million times, but what is your weekly viewing schedule like? Between reviewing DVDs and Blu-rays for the podcast, new films reviews, and the upcoming award season, it seems like you would have time for little else. Any insight? Thanks for all the great work and for the input on the Facebook page. Mark, what's your week like?
Well, here's my insight. My insight is I'm a single man. That's my insight.
Here's my insight. I'm a married man, but my wife is a widow, especially on weeks when I have to do radio. Unfortunately, I'm not doing radio for a little while now. It's a nice respite, especially after award season, January, February. Not a lot to see, but there are radio weeks for me are just oppressive, and it literally is turn the TV on, sit there, and stare at it all day long. And I usually fall asleep watching something around 2 in the morning that I just can't keep my eyes open anymore, and then I'll wake up at 5 and try to watch the last half of it. You know, it really is insane. And then I just sleep until noon on Saturday. It's horrible. It's busy. I mean, some weeks are better than others, but it's busy. But I could be stuck in a cubicle running spreadsheets on water main breakage rates. So
yeah, but you'd make more money if you did that.
That's probably true. Eric Altieri writes us and says, can't remember if you talked about it on the show or not, but I've been watching this on Netflix, and it's pretty great. Have you heard of it? And what he's talking about is a series that was not sent to us on DVD. It's the story of film, an Odyssey, which we got some links to.
No, I watched that on Netflix.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah,
I watched a bunch of pieces of it. Did you get through the whole thing?
Well, no, because I can't stand that guy's voice.
Okay.
Here's the thing: the information and the way it's constructed and the amount of vintage footage he has, all that stuff is pretty great. But you've got to buy the voiceover. Because the guy who voices over it, and the script, by the way, the narration script, it's really one of those love it or hate it sort of things. It's just, for the first 5 minutes, I'm like, is it going to be 13 hours of this guy talking like this, reading from this script? Because I'm going to kill myself.
Yes, it is.
And it winds up, but the thing is that it's too bad because otherwise it's fairly definitive as these things go. Because, I mean, it is good. I just can't stand him or the script.
Yeah. Axel Peronio, longtime listener Axel, writes...
Axel, does anyone call you Noodle Ronio? Remember those noodle Roni commercials where you used to go Noodle Ronio?
No.
Noodle Roni.
He says, wishing you the best for 2013. Mark, may you find the love of your dreams, who may take the form of a beautiful moviegoer, single French chef. We have plenty...
and I just made fun of him after he said that nice thing.
He says, we have plenty of them here in France. Wade, you may find the courage to watch the next Zack Snyder project. Tell us what you think of it. As for me, I'm building a new home with a brand new home theater in it, and I have a question for you, or maybe more of a thought to share. I've been wondering if Blu-ray would kill Dolby Digital as a high-end sound codec. DTS and DTS HD master audio has become an implicit reference on Blu-ray. Even tough Dolby True HD, even though Dolby True HD provides the same quality, those tracks have become rare with any new title any new title advertised. Think of the Transformer movie, for example. Looks like Dolby as a home theater codex is silently shifting to streaming HDTV and leaving physical media in general. I don't think you ever should write off Dolby. Dolby is an enormously successful company. They have a lot of weight in the entertainment business.
They just bought the Oscar Theater.
They just bought the Oscar Theater, and there's a whole new Dolby process that is being rolled out in movies. Dolby's always going to be a player in any medium, so Dolby abdicating the packaged media format to DTS. It's not even in their mindset. So never write out Dolby. Dolby will always come back with something bigger and better and more powerful. And then lastly, Taryn Von Niesen says, just wanted to offer a counter opinion to anyone obnoxious enough to write in and tell you what they want you to talk about. You guys always suggest so many great movie titles for me to check out. This is the only movie review show where I also get ideas on what kinds of snacks I could make to enjoy the movies I watch. I've already made my own homemade Pop-Tarts with jam instead of
I can't
ganache.
believe that. It's fantastic.
Pot de creme, and now I'm eager to try my own version of a chocolate cherry scone. Wade trying Mark's latest creation is my favorite part of the show. It's your personalities that make this podcast such a pleasure to listen to, and I hope that you continue to do it your way. Taryn in Vancouver. And P.S., she says, I also like when you talk about Star Trek and was wondering what you think about Star Trek Into Darkness, apparently being a remake/reboot of Wrath of Khan, especially considering that Chris Pine is playing a young Kirk. Now,
hang on, Wade. Before we do that, I'm doing this. I went on YouTube while you were reading that, and I looked up an old commercial for Noodle Roni. Here it is. Let's see if I can get this to be audible.
Tastes as good as your mama makes. Forgive her. It's made with golden egg noodles plus a blend of Parmesan and Romano cheese. It's kept fresh in noodle.
You're out of your mind. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, that was the song, Noodle Roni, A Bit of Old Italy.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
No.
You thought it was crazy when I sang that.
I thought you were out of your mind.
Noodle Roni, Parmigiana, A Bit of Old Italy. Wade.
Boy. Fine.
Axel Peroni, Noodle Roni.
Peroni-o.
I know, but that doesn't rhyme with Noodle Roni.
Fine.
In your face, Major. I got it.
Is it a remake of Wrath of Khan? Is it a remake of where
nobody
gone before?
Nobody seems to know. JJ is being incredibly, unbelievably secretive and coy. I mean, we're talking non-disclosure
Is it a remake
agreements.
of Trouble with the Tribbles? Exactly. Wouldn't it be great if it were?
It's actually a remake of his Star Trek. It's a remake of the first one he did.
That would be awesome.
Nobody seems to know. I just know that the character's name is John Harrison. Benedict Cumberbatch's name, and John Harrison sounds like one of those made up names that you're using to hide his real name because you don't want it to get out. Yeah. We don't know. Nobody knows. And the only person who knows, who doesn't work for the production, is the 41-year-old dying of leukemia who JJ screened the movie for. Did you hear this?
No.
JJ, so get this. JJ, and then we really have to go. But JJ gets this tweet. I think it was a tweet from the wife of a guy who is dying from leukemia. No BS. He is dying from leukemia, and his final wish is to see Star Trek Into Darkness. So this gets back to JJ, and JJ presumably checks it out, and he decides that even though the movie's incomplete, and even though the guy may be disappointed because the movie's incomplete, he decided to show this dying 41-year-old leukemia patient Star Trek Into Darkness. Now, I don't know where it took place. JJ, thankfully, respectfully, has been very silent about this. He hasn't talked about it. Not a lot of people know about this. It's kind of out there. But the guy did see Star Trek Into Darkness as his final dying wish, and he said he was, quote, satisfied 110% and loved the movie, and so only he knows whether John Harrison is John Harrison or John Harrison is Khan or John Harrison is Gary Mitchell. Don't know. John Harrison, by the way, could be Wade Major. Don't know.
All right. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Time now for the Vox Box. Mark, give it to us.
Can I sing the song?
Sing the song.
It's 2013's Vox Box.
Hey, Digigods. I know you guys have been asking for a Vox Box for a while, so I figured I'd record one. I'm Billy Milby from Perry, Georgia. I'm actually doing that Muse Theater restoration. Anyway, so my question is about rental discs and kind of the differences between them and their retail counterparts. Up until a couple weeks ago, I was okay with them because mostly they would just load them down with unskippable trailers or stuff like that. And that's totally fine because, you know, they want to make a few extra advertising dollars off of me, and I understand that. But a couple weeks ago, I rented Moonrise Kingdom from Netflix. And of course, you're probably saying I should have bought it anyway, so I get that. But I rented it, and there were no special features. They were there, but when you clicked on them, it said, oh, you have to buy the retail disc. And, you know, that bothered me. But, you know, the movie was still the movie, so I was okay. And then just a week ago, I got The Expendables 2 on Blu-ray. And that one was a little different. I have a full 7.1 surround sound and really like to utilize it. And that soundtrack is a 7.1 DTS-MA HD or whatever. And that was not what was on the rental disc. It was a 5.1 Dolby Digital lossy track. And I was very, very disappointed. I was really looking forward to hearing it in 7.1. And to me, you know, when rental discs are actually worse than the retail product, then they're probably just damaging their image. Because a lot of people might not even realize that it is worse. Anyway, there's a lot more I could argue on this, but I'll let you guys handle it.
Thank you, Billy. The issue differs from company to company, and some of them are more inclined and more prone to do this. It's a problem with some of the Redbox releases, and obviously with some of the Netflix stuff. They all kind of approach the rental space in a slightly different way, which is to say that some of them figure, you know what, we really don't want this to compete. If you want the top end experience, we want you to think, okay, I've got to buy it. They don't want people thinking, well, if it's a movie, I could stream it, and I get the same sound quality, same audio quality, or I could get a DVD, or I could rent a Blu-ray, and I'll get the experience. They really do want you to get the sense that if you want the optimal experience, you've got to pony up the money and buy this. And so that's why they keep it sort of down for some of the other media. I don't know that it makes sense. I think Billy's assessment of it is right. I think they do hurt themselves because there is an expectation that once a movie makes it out of the theaters and goes into the home space, that it should all be the same quality. I think we accept that streaming is going to be more convenience than quality, that you're making a certain compromise. But I think there is an expectation that discs, packaged media, all are going to be really presenting you the same thing. All DVDs are alike and all Blu-rays are alike, and that's not true. And if they really want to play that game, they should certainly make it known to people. But otherwise,
well, they want you to buy discs. They make the money when you buy the disc.
Absolutely.
When you go to Redbox and pay $1 for a disc,
yeah.
You know how much money the studio's getting? They ain't getting what they get when you spend $19.95 to buy the disc.
The profit margin on packaged media is huge. It's
Yes.
huge. It's all gravy. They've already paid for the thing usually in theatrical. So that's the way they look at it. They want you to buy the disc. So yeah, they probably should be more forthcoming about that. But that's the reality, I guess, of their business model. It depends on the company ultimately, though. It's kind of hit and miss, and it's a little bit of the Wild West.
And by the way, when you go to Perry, Georgia, hit the Perry Antiques Trail. It's good stuff. Just saying.
Nice.
Yes, putting it out there. I like it.
All right, Mark. I want to wrap up just with a few docs, and then we're gonna save the rest of the stuff for next week. Samsara is out this week. If you haven't seen Samsara, you probably should. It is in the Koyaanisqatsi tradition. This is from Ron Fricke, who was the DP who did all the Koyaanisqatsi and Powakatsi and all the Katsi films. And Ron Fricke's been doing this starting with, Baraka really is the one that everybody kind of focuses on. Baraka's a bit of a big deal. And he just takes his 70 millimeter or 65 millimeter camera, and he runs around the world, and he shoots all kinds of cool time lapse and kind of culturally innovative stuff, and it looks cool. And Samsara was it's not an IMAX film. It's 65 millimeter. It was released in 4K mostly, which is kind of the way these things are going in the future. And it's out on Blu-ray now. And the only thing that I find really compelling about this, I don't usually like these films. They get a little tiresome to me after about 40 minutes. But the one thing I did like it. Did you see Samsara, Mark?
Indeed, I did.
The one thing I really do like about watching this is that the way that it starts and the theme that continues throughout the movie. There's kind of a Buddhist motif here, and a little bit it's you can extrapolate and go, well, it's a reincarnation or whatever. But Ron Fricke at one point was attached to direct the big screen adaptation of Robert Bolt's unfilmed Buddha script. Do you know this history?
All I know is this.
Yeah.
If it's Robert Bolt, you know it.
Damn straight.
And now Wade is about to bore us with a story about how Robert Bolt wrote something that never got made.
Robert Bolt probably wrote a lot of stuff that never got made, but he left a biography of Buddha, a big screen epic biography of Buddha, which I've read. It's amazing. It's got like references in it to books of mythical creatures. See page, figure, number. Right? He really researched the hell out of this, and it was originally going to be directed by Bertolucci. They had a falling out. He and the Hong Kong company that owned the script at the time, and Bertolucci went on to make Little Buddha with Little Duda, and it never went anywhere. So the unfilmed Buddha script at one point was supposed to be directed by Ron Fricke, with Jason Scott Lee playing Prince Siddhartha, otherwise known as the Buddha. Never happened for whatever reason. Nobody wanted to get behind that movie, so it's a dead film, dead project for the time being. But you could see in some ways in Samsara what Ron Fricke's vision would have been for that film. And then we also got a couple of others here. Cuban Missile Crisis, 3 Men Go to War from PBS, and Putin's Kiss, which actually I have a lot of fondness for Putin's Kiss. Did you see this? Putin's
I did
Kiss?
not.
You didn't? I just want to say Putin is an evil, evil man, and this film is a very personal documentary that gets into the essence of just how evil he really is. That whole poisoning incident in London.
Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah, that almost happened to me. And I'm not
Really?
kidding, yes. Christy and I were actually in London at that time, having lunch on that street 3 doors down from the sushi restaurant at a Thai restaurant with a friend of mine who's a London filmmaker. We were there at that time. We were literally doors away. So I could have been polonium poisoned by Putin.
But how do you feel? Now, be honest.
Seriously, and that story broke right before we left London, and I thought, you got to be kidding me.
Really?
Seriously, like if we had said, if I were a sushi fan and we had said, why don't we go for sushi? I literally could have rubbed up against somebody who had been poisoned by Putin with polonium, and I might not be here today.
Right now, I could be talking to a decomposing film critic.
You could be.
It's unbelievable. By the way, what do you think about Putin giving Gerard Depardieu his Russian passport?
Yeah.
Come on, he's a Russian now.
I don't think. I think it's all publicity stunt. I think Putin's just doing it to make the French president look bad, and I think he's doing a good job. So anyway,
All right, there you go. There's the show, folks.
that's it. See you next week.